One thing that I think you guys should start doing from the beginning of high school or start looking around for is teachers that can be mentors to you. Hopefully, you will have a teacher who will influence either like your high school career or even further than that potentially. Those mentor relationships are super important just to help you get through high school, help you with the college process, or like be there for you personally. For me, my first experience of that was in sophomore year when I took AP World History. I loved the class. The teacher was amazing, always dedicated extra time for her students, and she is someone that I still have a good connection with today. If a relationship like that blooms, definitely let it and definitely like put some effort into it because those relationships are amazing. Be on the lookout for that because hopefully those relationships will bloom and it'll just make your high school experience better.
So my senior year, I took a what's it called? Like a free period where I was like a teacher's aide. The teacher I took that class for was my AP English language teacher. And so I had that teacher for 3 years. I took a pre AP class with them and then AP Lang, and then I was their TA for the year. And that relationship just started out because I really wanted to focus on improving my writing because it was I thought a weakness for me like back in sophomore year. And so because I like would always ask her for like how do I improve this, how do I get better, I would talk to her a lot more than my other teachers, and she was just also very like welcoming just because of like her personality and her openness and willingness to talk. I felt very comfortable in like reciprocating and like creating a mentorship relationship. By the end of senior year, I had known for 3 years, and she like knew my personality and like my goals very well. So she wrote me like a letter of rec for anything and everything that I applied for.
I actually had like really cool teachers in a lot of my AP classes, so my advanced placement courses. And I think that's because it was like smaller class sizes, and I also like always like was asking them questions in class and like asking about the homeworks and things, and even like outside of homework, just asking about like what they were doing in life in general. And so I think that building relationships with my teachers was really useful in terms of like me being able to succeed in their classes because I was comfortable like asking them questions whether it was like about schoolwork or just like about life in general and like college and stuff. But also in terms of like me having people to like ask for recommendations like when thinking about going to college. So yeah, and I like still keep in touch with some of them now. So like long lasting relationships.
My teacher mentors mostly came out of my extracurricular activities that were headed by them. For instance, I got really close with my debate coach, who also was my teacher, and I also got very close with my tennis coach, who again was also a teacher of mine. For my letter of recommendation, one of them was written by my debate coach, and I was really happy that she was able to do this for me because she was able to talk about not only my intellectual side, but also my personality and who I was as a human being and how I developed through this extracurricular activity. So for me, having those relationships that were tied to activities that I did out of class was really helpful both on a mentorship level and also because I think it gave from a richer letter of recommendation.
I joined a class called Digital Design with a teacher named Mr. Gale. Having seen him like twice every like a lot of days, Mr. Gale definitely became somebody that I started to talk to a lot, just because he was kind of there out of convenience, right? But when I got to talk to him, I realized that he was a very cool person. He was very understanding. He was very helpful. He took a lot of the time out of his day to help me out when it came to like a random variety of things. When it came to like planning out my day and schedule so that I wouldn't be too stressed with homework. When it came to talking to other teachers, he might set up like a call or something. He might call them in class and say that the student needs to talk to you because he needs help with this. Mr. Gay was just there for me for a variety of different things. And I think the fact that he kind of like took that initiative was really instrumental in building a relationship between us. And I really appreciated it, and I tried to continue it as much as possible. And I think that came from me having dialogues with him, maybe staying after school certain days and then talking about like the classwork that we do, and also talking to him about other things like his career path, how he got to where he is today, and whether or not I should look into things like that. Like I'm currently considering maybe entering education later on in life. And that was a result of talking to Mr. Gale and seeing how much he appreciates being in education.
So for teacher relationships, throughout my classes, I built great relationships with teachers um, that like I could tell truly wanted to get like closer to their students, or that I could tell like really wanted their students to learn. So just don't be afraid of your teachers. Like remember that they're humans too. They chose to be a teacher. They chose to stay in education because they want students like you to succeed and do well. They're a really great resource, especially if you don't have family that went to college. They have a lot of they can like give you a lot of information about that process and that timeline, and answer any questions that you have. And for me, I really started like actually talking to my teachers and getting to know them, and like having them get to know more about me during like the free moments during class when I would ask for help, or like for feedback on my paper or project, or I would like tell them my ideas or things that I cared about. It's just really important to like let them in on when you are really proud of something or when you're struggling or confused with something, because then that way they can really help you with like wherever you are, and like they'll be more invested in like supporting you too. A way to get close to teachers are if they're like advisors for clubs that you're in or that you're interested in. Like that's also important because then they have a lot of insight on like your leadership style or how you work with others, and just things like that. And just like overall, like I loved getting close to teachers because I thought they were really cool, but it's also great to have those mentors because like they're going to end up being people who can write letters of recommendation for you, and those are like something that's needed for college applications. And basically letters of recommendation are just like letters from teachers where they kind of share with colleges like what your strengths are and like what are your characteristics, so they can also like all of these things come together to give an image of who you are so colleges can understand who you are better.